Thank you, dear friends, for this opportunity of sharing a little bit about my life and also a little bit about what we have been doing. I come from a very, very poor home. In the early life, when I was 14 years old, father passed away. And then learned to do almost every non-technical jobs for the survival of our family. And by the help of my brothers and other friends and helpers, I could finish my master's in economics. Then my mother became very sick, and I had an obligation to find a job somehow. And those days it was not very difficult to get a good job back in Kerala. So I found out that jobs are available in Northeast India, in Nagaland. So at the age of 22, I went to Nagaland as a school teacher. I'm going to tell you something that happened in Nagaland. I was working as a school teacher in among a tribe called the Konyaks. Incidentally, you must know that the American Baptists have done a very good job in bringing the gospel to the Nagas in general. However, some 11 or so villages on the border of Burma were very, very resistant to the gospel. At times with my students and all, we used to go to some of these villages to talk in general about the Konyaks. Those days when I was there, girls and women wore just this much of cloth, nothing above, nothing below. I have seen young men from the farm returning home in the evening, completely naked, gang of 30, 40, 50. I was told that these Konyaks never buried their dead bodies, and they will leave it on a platform to be decayed and decomposed. But when a village chief dies, this is what my students told me, I have never seen. The village boys and girls will have to chase the flies of the dead body from the dead body for about 30 days. And they are not supposed to close their nose also, which is a kind of a disrespect. With my students, with some of my friends, we went to a village called Longwa, right at the border of Burma. Though Christianity has been trying to make some impact in the village, they were very resistant. And on that day, hardly any men would come out. All we could see was some naked children running around and asking, Bili Yaku, Bili Yaku. Bili Yaku means if you have BD, please give us. That's what they were telling. We were really discouraged. It is something like 14 days of walk. It doesn't mean that straight away 14 days. We go to one village, walk to one village and stay there and try to preach the gospel, and another village like this. Now we were really discouraged that nobody came out, only these children. And what we did was, we took these children around, taught them some songs and some stories. And in the evening, we are really discouraged. We gathered together in a place, prayed, and the next morning we left for the next village. Then after a year or two, I left my job, went to a Bible college, and then worked in Nepal for 7 years, and then went to Afghanistan and worked there for 3 years. And then when I was in Delhi, my cell phone rang. On the other side was Minister Konwan. He told me he telephoned me to invite me for the 25th anniversary of Christianity there, and also for the dedication of their new church building. They offered air ticket for us. I was really excited. My wife and I went over there. We got very, very royal treatment. And I found that some of my old students have become very big government officials and church leaders and all. On the first day itself, they gave us a souvenir. It's very interesting. A wooden board. On the wooden board, there were 2 human figures made of brass. One was almost naked, and on his one hand there was a chopper, and the other hand, one hand there was a chopper, and the other hand there was a gun. And he had a chain on his neck, and at the end there was human skulls. Incidentally, you should know that the Konyaks were head hunters. I've seen in several villages human skulls, 150, 140, kept as their trophies. I was even told by some of my students that there was a time for a young man to win a bride. It's easy if he can present a head to the would-be father-in-law. Now, the first figure is a man with a chopper and a gun, and on his head there is the human skull as his chain. And between these 2 figures there was a cross. And the second figure was almost fully well dressed and having a Bible in his hand. Now this is exactly what they wanted to tell the world. It is the Bible, it is Christianity that transformed them from this head hunter stage. Then the pastor, at the end of the meeting, he told me, when we were there was nobody to give us even a glass of water. There was no one to receive us. In fact, nobody will even sell any food materials to us in those days. We had difficulties. And he told, you remember you taught some children some songs? And suddenly I remembered. Yes, I remember. And those children are going to sing the very same song today. And here, after a few minutes, 48, 50 years old children came and sang the very same song after these many years. Then the pastor told me, do you know where the church stands? It is the very same place you prayed on that day. I was so thankful to God. Then the pastor said, the Konyaks have crossed over to Burma and planted more than 35 churches in Burmese territory. And I always try to share this story because this is the power of the gospel. Where people live in darkness, when the light of the gospel reaches, there will be very big transformation. Well, after serving in Nepal as a school teacher for several years, 5 years, I felt a definite call to serve God in places where there is very little Christian presence. So, I went for a small 2 years Bible training in Southern Asia Bible College, Bangalore. And thereafter, I chose to go to Nepal as a pioneer missionary. I was an athlete. I was an 800 meters runner. So there was a little spirit of adventure also in me. However, when I went over there, I found that I was not very brave. The law of the land says if anybody is trying to convert a Nepali into Christianity, he can go to jail for 6 years. To be very honest, the government did not enforce the law so strictly. But I was very scared, really scared. When I went over there, that was the time of the coronation of the new king, Birendra Vikram Shahadev. Everywhere there were police. And whenever I saw police, I used to think they are after me. So I spent several weeks like that, doing almost nothing, not knowing what to do. And then I got really desperate. And I told God, Lord, I do not want to be here for a long, long time. Give me strength to preach the gospel wherever there is opportunity. Give me opportunities. In 2-3 days, 3 people walked into my room. One was a school teacher, one introduced himself as a school teacher, another a music teacher, and the third introduced himself as a policeman. I was shocked. But then I thought, come on, why don't I make friendship with him? And God helped me to make friendship with him. And I found that his heart was open. And I thank God, God gave me that policeman as the first fruit. We sent him to a Bible college. He came back and went to his own village with several of our people. Wherever he went, those days, we have churches today. Later, when we formed, I worked with the Assemblies of God. Later, when we formed the Assemblies of God of Nepal, this policeman also became the superintendent of the Assemblies of God for some time. Even today, he is going on with the Lord with a very good ministry, planting several churches in the mountains. Another incident that happened was, those days I was very zealous. If I see somebody, those days very little contact. I used to go and sit in a park. You cannot give any tract to anybody those days. You can be in trouble. So what I used to do was, I used to go and sit in a park. I will read a tract myself, and after reading, I will leave it there and go, hoping that somebody will take it. I remember sometimes making the tract fly in the wind so that it may reach some places. I remember sometimes when we go into the villages, we will see ladies and men in the villages, and they are going to the farm with baskets on their back, and we will slowly put a tract inside the basket. These are all the ways we used to do. I remember we were, one thing I have learned is when a country is closed, we think it is closed. But what God taught me is there are many open doors. And God opened my eyes to see those already opened doors. One of the things is something like this. Those days we somehow got hold of all the addresses of all the schools. And we put on packet of literature, and every packet, every school to get one packet of literature. We had a seal in every book saying that if you want to have more information, contact us. We never gave a contact address in India. We gave an address in Calcutta. And it is through that one Brahmin young man came. We sent him to a Bible college, and he became a very good student of the Bible and someone who really wanted to serve God. And I'm happy to tell you that he is one of the chief bishops of the Gospel for Asia in Nepal. Another young man who came to our place was that God gave us was a drug addict. Maybe I should tell a little bit before that. One man came and said he's a Christian and he wants to serve God along with me, and very quickly I found out he was a fake and he was trying to blackmail me, telling that the policemen are after us, and somehow I had to get rid of him. After that, another young man came. Those days I was not married. Another man came and he said his life is already gone very bad and he wanted to become a good man, and I asked him whether I can help him. I said yes. And after a few days he took away my tape recorder, sold somewhere and ran away. It is after a few days that this man walking into my room. He was straight from jail because of hashish trafficking. And somebody brought him and said, if I can help him, it will be good. I was terribly scared. I was terribly afraid. And I thought I will never keep him with me because of the two previous incidents. But then I felt the Lord asking me the question, Ezekiel, do you really believe that the value of a soul is much greater than the whole world? Now, when I answered yes, everything disappeared. All the objection disappeared. I decided I will not lock my house. I will not lock my suitcase or briefcase. Nothing. If he steals everything, let him steal it. That is the thought I had. And this boy, very soon, I found out he developed an interest for the gospel. He gave his heart to the Lord, and he was actually a firebrand. Once he became a believer, my ministry became very easy. He had a lot of friends. He used to bring one by one people. And all I had to do was to sit in my home and talk to them. And God gave us several young people. One of them he brought was a young man who lost everything in his life. He left his wife. He stole some money from a bank. And you tell any vice, it was with him. Immoral, drinking, drug, pickpocketing, everything. He came to our church. It was a small room, and he later told me that his first instinct was to take the best shoe we kept outside and run away. But he sat inside the church, and in the middle of the service, I saw him literally on the ground, rolling, beating his chest and crying. I went to him, put my arm around him. It was very difficult to touch him. He was so stinking, and his nail was long and dirty. His hair was long and dirty. The sweater he wore, it appears that it has never been washed. It was smelling. The socks were smelling. On the side of his neck, there was a sore, and pus was getting discharged. But God gave me the grace to go to talk to him, to pray with him. And this young man very soon became a believer. People do not understand, do not know that I was working for a business firm. People know me only as a missionary in Nepal, but I was working in a business firm for my livelihood. I took this man to this firm and offered him a job, and offered some of my clothes also. The first day he came and told me, Daju means older brother. Daju, even if they don't pay me, I will work here because my mind is very free. At the end of the month, when he got his salary, he brought the whole salary to me and asked me what to do. I taught him how to separate tithe and how to bring his wife and to have an established life. Very soon he went and brought his wife and his son. And God began to work in his life. I have never seen a person who becomes so quickly transformed. And when we next time, when we, when Kathmandu, because the government may or the police may give trouble, we will not have big churches at those days, or we did not have the courage to have big churches. And so when it will be 25 or so, we will immediately divide and make another church. And when it came for the time to divide the church, we asked this young man to be the leader of that church. He refused, but we put pressure on him, and he took that responsibility. And God began to increase his ministry. To be very short today, it grew, and the church he started have something like 600 or 700 believers today, and maybe about 70 or 75 daughter churches all over Nepal. And when we formed the Assemblies of God of Nepal, without any difficulty, we asked him to be the first superintendent of the Assemblies of God. He worked as the superintendent of the Assemblies of God of Nepal for 12 years. The senior pastor of this church and the head pastor of all these daughter churches. But then he decided that his call is to be a pioneer missionary, and resigned, left all these things and served God in another part of India, where he found out there are 2 million Nepalis. Today he's a pioneer missionary there. I remember some of the other young people walking to my room. One Brahmin boy came with the sacred thread, and he asked whether I can send him to a Bible school. Those days I believed in taking all sorts of risks. He was never baptized, and he had the sacred thread also. I took a decision. I sent him. I broke his sacred thread. and not given baptism. I sent him to the Bible college straight away. The Bible college people were also very gracious to accept him. He didn't know one word of English, so though he passed class 10, but he is a very hard worker. To be very short, today he has got a doctorate from Oxford, and he is the head of the education department of the Assemblies of God of Nepal. When our work began to grow, God impressed in my heart that it is time to leave the work in the hands of the Nepali brothers. And some of my co-workers told me, some of my friends told me, Ezekiel, if you leave this work now, the work will collapse. But God gave me the courage to tell them back, if by my leaving, if the work will collapse, I was not doing the Lord's work. And God really honored that decision I have taken. Today, under the Neti leadership, the Assemblies of God of Nepal is grown by leaps and bounds. Today, the Assemblies of God of Nepal has more than 1,300 churches. Every year they have a youth camp. This year, it has just finished. They were expecting at least 12,000 young people to gather in 30 different places. I believe it will be more than 12,000 young people. And they expect that at least 500 young people go to missions after this camp. God is very good. In between, I had to be in jail for some time. This is another interesting story. There was a Buddhist priest, his name was Rishing Lama. He told us one day, later after he became a Christian, he told me, even when he was doing the puja of the Buddhist, as a Buddhist priest, he always had a doubt whether he is really doing the right thing. And one day he had a dream. In the dream, somebody went to him and gave him a book and told him, through this book you will find the right way. And a week later, two of our brothers who went to that village with Christian literature. And this man, Rishing Lama, he saw one of our co-workers, and he recognized that is the person who saw in the dream. And there was no difficulty to become a Christian for him. He came to Kathmandu, visited me, and he studied with us, and then he invited me to go to his village. He was incidentally a very influential person. He took me to many villages. I think 14 or 15 days we walked from village to village. And what he would do is, he doesn't know whether that's a close country or anything. What he would do is, he will go to a village. He was an influential person. He will call these people and tell, hey, here is a man. He wants to tell you some good things. So I have to preach openly in the villages. And after 15 days of open preaching, the villagers filed a case against him. I came back to Kathmandu. And he was arrested and he was taken to the district officer. The district officer told him, hey, I don't have time to take care of these sort of cases. You do one thing, you write here and saying that you are not a Christian, you are not doing anything, and get out of this place. But Rishing Lama said, no, I cannot do that. I am betraying my Lord if I say that. And then the district officer got very mad at him and told him and put him in jail. He was placed in a place where it was very cold. And see these Nepali prisons, the condition of the people were very, very poor. So we sent a person with some clothes and some money to help him. But this person also got scared on the way, ran away. So I thought this is a time we need to help this man. I took some Bibles, a Bible and some song books, some money, some blankets, and went to see him, knowing that I can also be in trouble. Till the day before, he was questioned and he did not open up anything. But the day before that, he was very badly beaten. I saw his eyes were swollen up. And then he thought, if I say, who taught me? The questions were asked to him is, how much money you got when we became Christian? Who taught you? All sorts of things. He said, if I say who taught me, there's no problem. So he told a few names, and one of the names was me. And as soon as the police officer has no difficulty to put me also in. I was in jail for 21 days. They treated me very well, very decently. I didn't have to go through any difficulty. But the first 2-3 days was tremendous psychological pressure. But after this first 2 days, we two began to sing together. We prayed and overcome that pressure and started singing. And you won't believe, after 2 or 3 days, we heard the policemen were also singing with us. After 7 years of service in Nepal, God impressed me. It is to leave, and God helped us to go to Afghanistan. This was the time the Mujahideens and the Russians were fighting. Terrible fight. Though the law in Nepal said you can go to jail for trying to convert anybody from Nepal, from their religion, it was not enforced. In Afghanistan, hardly there was any rule, but everywhere there was Khat. Khat is the Afghan version of the KGB. If you go to any place, they will be after us. 3 years we worked there. We learned the language, we learned the customs and all sorts of things, and we could share here and there a little bit. If one person could be shared, or if he could share the gospel to one person in a week, it is a big success. We have to we'll invite them, and they'll come. And people who surely come are definitely these hot people. That means the Secret Service people. And I developed a thought, why not? Why not we share the gospel to the Secret Service people? And I want to tell you an incident. There was a man whom we knew that he is a Secret Service man. He used to come to my home in the evening. He has no fear because he is coming from the Secret Service. We talked to him about we used to feed him, we used to give the food, we used to teach him. One day when my wife prepared food and gave him, he began to cry, saying, well, my family people are all hungry, they don't get anything, and all sorts of things. I told in my heart, come on, you are fooling me. You are the member of the Khat. The Khat people get a lot of money, and this is all lies you are showing. It is what I said in my heart. And after 2 weeks, we were kicked out of Afghanistan, and we thought, surely this is the man responsible for kicking us out. But you know what happened? After 5 years or so, a Pashtun family came in Delhi, and we found out they knew their scriptures, and they wanted to be baptized. And the whole family are very more or less believers. And I asked them, how did they become, how did they learn? And they finally opened up and said, it is this hot man, this Secret Service man who ran away from Afghanistan, went to Pakistan and became an evangelist. I did not trust him, but God trusted him with the gospel. So, taking or willing to take risk always have, helped us. Yes, several things have happened in our life. After 3 years of work in Kabul, we were asked to leave in 48 hours notice, came to Delhi. Now, it is totally different. We had about 60,000 Afghan refugees in Delhi. And the Afghans, when they heard an Indian speaking Farsi, they were very happy. They don't have any friends. And here is an Indian receiving them in the home. Our home was full of Afghans. And we had the opportunity of sharing the gospel with them. We baptized maybe about 400 Afghan Muslims in Delhi. And still we have an Afghan church. We celebrated its 25th anniversary last year. Along with this ministry among the Afghans, we started Hindi and Nepali churches also in Delhi. We lived quite some time in Delhi. And when the leadership developed, God impressed us that we may go to another totally unreached region, that is Uttar Pradesh. Today the Afghan church is under the leadership of an Afghan pastor. We had a few Afghan pastors, but these pastors, when they get resettled, as government of India will not give them citizenship, or they cannot do any job, these people have to leave and they get resettled into other countries. And we have several of our friends from the Afghan church going to the different parts of the world and serving God, reaching the Afghans and other Muslims. We have people in California, in Newport News. We have brothers in Sweden, Canada, Australia, the Afghan believers who went to these places and ministering, serving God in all these places. Well, some 10 years ago, we moved to Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh is one of the largest state in terms of population. It has about 160 million people. If you take Uttar Pradesh as a separate country, it will be the 7th or 6th largest nation in terms of population. Uttar Pradesh we call in short form UP. Our mission is called Central UP Mission. Our interest is to train 20 local missionaries and place them wherever, in 20 each in every district. That means 180 missionaries. I always believe that it is good to start from something small instead of having a ministry all over India, like sending one missionary to one state, another. The vision God has given me that this 9 districts should be filled with 1,800 churches in another 20-30 years. This is what we are working on. Our major problem is co-workers. It's totally not a Christian belt. Very few Christians. And where do we get workers? In rural UP, you won't get a house with a toilet. And there is hardly electricity. Hardly any electricity. People from south, like Kerala or Tamil Nadu, where there is a lot of Christians and a lot of Bible colleges, they are so sophisticated and polished, they will not be able to come and work in this region. So we have to depend upon what is available. Here also, I believe in taking risks. Our strategy is our formula is 20:1. That means when we train 20 young people, we will get 1. People come illiterate to be trained in our training center. We teach them how to read and write, and then teach them how to preach. There are people who hear that if we come and train in our training center, they will get a job. So people who are not even Christians will come for a job. We grab them. We teach them. And some of them will become believers. And thank God some of them became firebrand believers and preachers. And we have some such very good local Christian workers. The work is going on. This is a very good time for UP. People are seeking for God. And if we have enough co-workers, this 180 or these 9 districts can be covered without much difficulty. What we try to do is when we find that a co-worker become a little bit stable or settled, and we know that he is sincere and faithful, we will try to buy a motorcycle for him so that he can reach at least 15 to 20 villages around the place where he has a church. God is blessing our ministry. I'm so thankful to God. Wherever God allowed me to touch, God blessed it. This is the case with the work in Nepal, in Afghanistan or among the Afghans, in Delhi, and now in UP. I was an 800 meters runner. I know what it meant by a finishing bust. The last maybe 200 meters or 100 meters, you sprint with all your energy. And I sometimes tell my friends, this project of UP, Uttar Pradesh, is my finishing bust. I'm 70, and whatever the time God gives me, I don't think I'll be going away from UP. I'll be staying and ministering till God calls me home. Please remember to pray for us. I have 3 children. My wife is Alice, my daughter Priscilla, her husband is Christy John. They have 2 daughters, Anusha and Nityasha. They are serving God in UK. My son David and his wife Anju. David is a software developer and helping our ministry by finance and also by his help in the ministry. Our younger son Jonathan, he finished his Master of Business Administration, and now he is full-time serving the Lord with me, traveling to villages, preaching, teaching, praying for the sick, and everything. God has given, I feel that God has given him a very special call into the ministry. In the book of Philippians chapter 2, the Bible tells us that let this mind be in you as it was with Christ Jesus. Now my point here is he became a servant. Our call is the call of a servant. All these years I have found that if you are willing to bend our knees and willing to be a servant, no door will be closed for you. Because everybody needs servants. Atheists need servants. The aggressive Hindus need servants. The Muslims need servants. And if we try to be servants, there will be doors open for us. I remember a few people who came to us. There's a lady who was morally untouchable. I think she was a known prostitute of the city. One day when I came to my home, she was sitting in my room. I was shocked. I went into my home. I thought I'm very holy and I should not even speak to her. But the Lord began to impress me what I went inside my room and told my wife, go out, send her away. But then I felt the Lord impressing me that I should go to her, talk to her. I should be with a kind heart and kindly talk to her. And I began to talk to her. I found her, yes, what I thought was true, but her heart was open for the Lord. And after 2 or 3 visits, she became a believer. I baptized her, and she began to bring people to the church. And later we came to know that he became a very good Christian. So if we can, I sometimes tell, you must, some of the stories I have already told you. This is the way I put it. If you search in the garbage, you will find pearls. I have some of these brothers who is now in very big leadership. I searched, and God helped me to search in the garbage, and these pearls have come from this garbage. And I'm thankful to God. Another thing to the Christian workers I have is, don't be discouraged. Please do not be discouraged to start from a very small thing. Jesus told his disciples, Jesus opened the eye of a blind person and asked him, do you see? And he said, yes, I see men walking like trees. And Jesus had to heal him again, because we are not supposed to see people like trees. Quite often we are with a lot of statistics and everything, and we say, oh, thousands are perishing, millions are going Christless eternity. We see people only like trees. We don't see one individual, our next door neighbor, maybe dying or ruining the family because of alcohol, maybe because of drug, or because of dowry fight in the home. All these things are there. And why can't we commit our life to one person for maybe 20 years, 25 years? Now, this is what we teach to our friends who are interested in serving among Muslims. You cannot go and say the 4 spiritual laws and, if you come, you come. If not, you go to hell, That's not the way we should be. We should be working with them maybe 20 years, 15 years. Perhaps you must have heard of this statement: unless a person trusts you, how can he trust the gospel that you preach? Trusting you will not come with 20 minutes. He should know. You may say that you don't tell lies. You may not betray anybody. But it will take time. And then only he will understand, wow, this man is genuine. I can trust him. Also, many people will understand the real meaning of the gospel only after it is demonstrated to him, and it will take some time. So, instead of trying to be a success story, let's try to be fruitful. Taking enough time. Maybe one person in a life, I sometimes teach in the churches where I teach that every believer is a missionary. My way of dividing the Christian church is into not as clergy and laity, but my way of dividing is full-time volunteer Christian workers and full-time paid Christian workers. The clergy I call the full-time paid Christian workers, but others are supposed to be full-time volunteer Christian workers. These full-time volunteer Christian workers doesn't need to see before them 5,000 people sitting in before them and they are preaching. Let them, that is seeing people like trees. But one person, can you commit your life for one person and work with him 20 years, 15 years? And I don't use the word personal evangelism. I use the word personal investment. You invest your life on a few people, and you cannot, have a list of 200 people for personal investment, maybe 2-3 people. In my evangelism classes to believers, I give this: write down 3 people or 2 people who are so close to you and work with them, pray for them, live for them, invest your life for them, and then one day you will see the result. Like that, we can bring many people into God's kingdom. Please remember to pray for us. God bless you.